everyone, welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike. Today we are looking at a one-day article all about oil and water and why they're not really best friends, I guess you would say. Sure, you can put them together, but like a really bad party, you will have two guests that just don't mix. They don't seem to get along, and you might have learned about this in science class, as we're going to kind of explain to you today. Or there are a lot of examples of this in the world if you look around you. We might have seen those terrible pictures of an oil spill, maybe oil coming out of a big ship in the ocean, and there's the black patch of that dirty oil that's bad for the birds and the fish. And then there's the water, and they don't really mix, right? They can kind of go in and even scoop out some of that oil because it floats on top of the water. It doesn't really mix in. Or if you're walking down the street, you might see that shiny puddle of rainwater, and then there's that oil in it that kind of looks like a rainbow. And of course, the oil is not mixing in with the water. The oil looks different, has a different color, and is clearly not part of the water. Or maybe on your dining room table or at a local restaurant, they have oil and vinegar for your salad dressing, and you have to shake that up, right, before you put it on your salad. Otherwise, it's going to come out with the oil here and the vinegar there. That's because oil and water, or oil and vinegar, other lighter liquids, they don't mix. Now, here's the question, why? And here's the answer in our article. Why don't oil and water mix? A. Oil is more slippery than water. B. They contain different types of charges. C. Water is lighter than oil. D. Oil is a solid and water is a liquid. When poured into the same container, oil and water will not combine. The oil will create a surface layer on top of the water. Why does this happen? First, the polarity of oil and water molecules prevents the two liquids from mixing. Water has polar molecules, which means one end of the molecule has a positive charge and the other end has a negative charge. Oil has non-polar molecules, which means the charge is equally balanced throughout the molecule. Second, water is denser than oil, so it will sink to the bottom of the container. All right, so the question is why oil and water don't mix, and the nice thing is that's also the title of our article, Why Oil and Water Don't Mix. So let's find out, or we can ask the question in another way, why don't oil and water mix? It's good to ask a question because we don't know the answer yet, but we do have four choices for you, A, B, C, and D. These are our four options. A. Oil is more slippery than water. B. They contain different types of charges. C. Water is lighter than oil. D. Oil is a solid and water is a liquid. Let's get to the answer and the explanation. It says when poured into the same container, oil and water will not combine. Absolutely. You can pour the water in or the oil, then the water, and they won't combine, they won't mix. You will end up with two layers, one of oil and one of water. This would happen if you pour both of these things into a container. What is to pour something? To pour something is basically to carefully let it out of a container. We're talking about a liquid or something like that, and you're kind of controlling how it falls from one container into another. Think of a bottle of water with a glass. You don't throw the water into the glass. You don't wait for the water to climb into the glass. No, you pour the water from the bottle into the glass, and you do it carefully, right? If you're pouring, the idea also is that you're doing it carefully so it doesn't spill and go all over the place. For example, Betty poured the soup over the noodles. Be careful with that hot soup. When you're pouring it, you definitely don't want to spill something hot, so pour it very carefully. And we use this word container. I used it a couple of times. What is a container? Basically, it's an empty thing that you put other things into. We often use different names for containers that we have in our kitchen. A jar, a bottle, a cup of something. These are all containers. I guess you could think of your school bag as a container for the things you take to school or to work. Your luggage might be a container for your clothes when you go on holiday, but generally containers are thought of as things like cups, jars, glasses, bottles, things like that you put other things in to keep them safe and to keep them clean. For example, Larry filled the container with candy and placed it in the cupboard. So there he's got maybe a jar of candy or a bowl of candy. These are all different types of containers. Okay, back to the article. We read, the oil will create a surface layer on top of the water. There you go. You'll have clearly a layer of oil and a layer of water. It's not going to be all mixed in together like if you pour milk into tea, it mixes very easily, right? But oil and water, no, it does not. Why does this happen? First, the polarity of oil and water molecules prevents the two liquids from mixing. Certain elements have polarity. Polarity is that kind of plus or minus. You might know when you use a battery to put it into a machine. There's a plus side, the minus side, that's polarity as well. Well, water, it says, has polar molecules, which means one end of the molecule has a positive charge, plus, and the other end has a negative charge, minus, kind of like the battery I was just explaining or just using as an example. So water, 1 plus, 1 minus. Oil, different. Oil has non-polar molecules, okay, not polar molecules, which means the charge is equally balanced throughout the molecule. So I guess plus and plus or minus and minus, it is non-polar. Second, here's the other reason that's important to understand. Second, water is denser than oil, so it will sink to the bottom of the container. Dense is the adjective for the property of density, basically how thick something is. The density of something is really talking about how close the molecules are together. If you're trying to put your hand through a table, it's going to be really hard because the molecules in the wood are very dense. They're very close together. If you try to move your hand through water, it's much easier because it's not so dense. And if you move your hand through the air, it's almost like you can't feel you're moving it through anything because the air molecules are not very dense. They're quite far apart. Seals, I should say, have very dense bones. Interesting. Which helps them dive deep below the ocean's surface. So there you go. That's a secret that seals have in their bones. I would guess that birds, their bones are not very dense, making them quite light but still strong. And we also had this verb to sink. When something sinks, it goes down through the water or maybe through the air. You could also talk about a balloon sinks as it loses gas or loses heat, but generally if we're thinking about things that go from the top or the surface of the water down below, those things sink. A rock will sink if you throw it into the water, and of course the Titanic sank and it killed Leonardo DiCaprio. It was very sad. I'm still upset about that. Let's talk about another example, the boat. Maybe the Titanic, no, not the Titanic. The boat sank off the coast of South Africa in 1977. I don't think Leonardo DiCaprio died that time, though. All right, and now it's time for us to take a very short break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。今天的课文标题是 Why Oil and Water Don't Mix。 为什么油水不相容？那同学们应该都有发现，有一些酱汁放久了，这个油水会分离。还有，如果你把油跟水倒入同一个容器当中，它们不会结合，反而会看到在水面上面形成表面一层油。那我们就来看看为什么会这样。首先，油和水分子的极性让这两种液体无法混合。水是具有极性分子，也就是说，它的分子中的电荷分布不均匀，一端是带正电荷，一端是带负电荷。那么油呢，则具有非极性分子，这表示说，在整个分子中的电荷它是均匀分布的。好，那么再来第二个原因就是水的密度比油大，所以会沉到容器的底部。我们先来看课文单字 pour， 它表示倒出或者是注入，像是倒出液体这样。那么 container 它是指容器 ，dense 它是形容密度大的或者是稠密的、密集的。它的名词是去 e 加上 ity，density 就可以表达密度或是浓度。好，再来 sink 是动词，它表示下沉，是什么下沉？沉没。这边还有一些补充单字，我们学一下。Molecule 它表示分子，那么 polarity 它表示极性。Polar 就是形容极性的。我们在前面加上否定字首 non， 它表示否啊或是非，得到这个 non-polar， 那就是形容非极性的。在文中用到这个 positive charge 来表达正电荷 ，negative charge 则表示负电荷。好，这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看这个重点是 prevent somebody or something from 加上动词 ing， 可以表达阻止、避免某人怎么样，或是使某事无法怎么样。这个动词 prevent 你也可以把它换成 stop 或者是 keep 去表达这种阻止啊、避免的意思。举例来说。Don't let fear prevent you from chasing your dreams. 别让恐惧阻止你追求梦想。这句话课文中。
Two molecules stick together when a negatively charged end lines up with a positively charged end. With oil's molecules having neither a negatively nor positively charged end, they aren't attracted to water molecules. Instead, oil's molecules are more attracted to other non-polar molecules. The only way to combine oil and water is by using an emulsifier. This is something with molecules that have a polar and non-polar end, enabling it to mix with both water and oil. An example of an emulsifier is egg yolks, which are commonly used for making sauces like mayonnaise and foods like cakes. All right, we're getting back to our explanation about why oil and water don't mix. We've learned that water and oil are actually quite different, right? Water is a polar material, oil is non-polar, and that really has a lot to do with why they're either attracted or pushed away by each other. As we get back to the article, it says two molecules stick together when a negatively charged end lines up with a positively charged end. So when a minus meets a plus, whoosh, they're attracted together, they can join very easily. With oil's molecules having neither a negatively nor positively charged end, they aren't attracted to water molecules. Instead, oil's molecules are more attracted to other non-polar molecules. So there you go. That's quite interesting. So basically, oil and water don't like each other, and oil likes other things that are more like it much more. They attract those things much more easily. I've used this word and we've used it in the article. Basically, to attract something is to bring it closer to you because of some quality that you have. And of course, when we use magnets, you might have done this in science class. You use a magnet to pull another magnet towards it. It attracts that magnet. As we say in our example sentence, magnets attract objects that contain iron. Absolutely. That's very easy to do with a magnet. It's not magic, it's just magnetic attraction. Back to the question, why don't oil and water mix? Well, answer B is that they contain different types of charges. We should remember that as we get back to the next part of the article. So the only way to combine oil and water is by using an emulsifier. Yeah, that's kind of a fancy word, but basically an emulsifier is a third material, a third ingredient that you use, and it kind of acts as oil and water's common friend. It will kind of bring, I know you guys don't like each other, but I like you and I like you, so I'm going to bring you together and we're still going to have a fun little party together. That's the emulsifier's job. It says this is something with molecules that have a polar and non-polar end, enabling it to mix with both water and oil. Yay! An example of an emulsifier is egg yolks, which are commonly used for making sauces like mayonnaise and foods like cakes, because often in mayonnaise or in cake, you will be mixing things like oil and water. Without the emulsifier, it would be just a big mess, but the emulsifier helps those two things to mix together much more easily. And yes, it's common to use emulsifiers in a sauce of some kind, also salad dressing. It's very common when you're mixing oil with vinegar. What is a sauce? A sauce is kind of a liquid food that is often made by using meat juices. As you cook steak or chicken, some of the juice comes out. You mix that with flour and salt, pepper, some spices. You get a sauce, you get a gravy. Sauce is basically some thick, probably liquid that's added to food to make it taste even better. For example, Bobby added some more sauce to his rice. In that case, it might have been soy sauce or something like that, which is made from plants, but it's again added to food to make it tastier. So there you go. Now you know why oil and food and water don't mix except when they can find an emulsifier to bring them together. So what do you think? Here's our what do you think question. What are some other examples of natural emulsifiers? Well, as I said, I'm not a chemist, but I'm going to say mustard. If you use mustard in your salad dressing, as I often do, you can take the oil, take the vinegar, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then a nice spoonful of German mustard or Dijon mustard, and you shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, and you will get a nice thick salad dressing that does not separate. It is now emulsified because of mustard. Don't ask me how it works. I just know it works and it's tasty, okay? So go and make some. You'll enjoy it, I promise. And you might be able to explain the science too, which would be even better. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Take care of yourselves, your salad dressings, and each other. And we'll see you back here very soon. Until then, bye-bye.
我们刚刚有讲到正电荷和负电荷嘛，那么当带负电的一端跟带正电的一端对齐时，两个分子会粘在一起。但是因为油的分子它既没有带负电端，也没有带正电端，它们不会被水分子吸引，反而比较会受到其他非极性分子来吸引。课文就写到说，唯一可以结合油和水的方法就是使用乳化剂，那它具有极性端和非极性端的分子。跟油跟水都能混合。那乳化剂其中一个例子就是蛋黄啦，它就常常被用来制作像是美乃滋之类的酱料，还有制作蛋糕等等食品。好，文中的 emulsifier 它就表示乳化剂。那去掉这个 IER， 然后把它变成 Y 变成动词 emulsify 就可以表达乳化是什么乳化。再来 mayonnaise 表示美乃滋，或者是指那种蛋黄酱。然后我们看到单字 attract， 它表示吸引，或者是可以表达物体之间产生吸引、产生引力。然后 sauce 它表示酱汁或是调味酱，像我们说 soy sauce 就是指酱油。这时候 Mike 老师他还有提到 salad dressing 就表示沙拉酱 ，vinegar 是醋 ，gravy 则是肉汁，还有 mustard 则是芥末。那这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看这个重点是 neither A nor B， 表示既不是 A 也不是 B。那么 neither 点点点 nor 点点点是用来连接词性相同的字词，强调两者皆非。举例来说 ，He neither smokes nor drinks， 他不抽烟也不喝酒。那特别注意，你如果是用 neither A nor B 去当主词的话，这个动词必须跟靠近的主词 B 一致。好，举例来说。Neither Jane nor her parents have ever been to Europe. Jane 和她爸妈都不曾去过欧洲。那例句里面的助动词就要配合最靠近的那个主词 her parents， 所以我们这边是用 have 而不是用 has。好，那么以上今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Why don't oil and water mix? A. Oil is more slippery than water. B. They contain different types of charges. C. Water is lighter than oil. D. Oil is a solid and water is a liquid. When poured into the same container, oil and water will not combine. The oil will create a surface layer on top of the water. Why does this happen? First, the polarity of oil and water molecules prevents the two liquids from mixing. Water has polar molecules, which means one end of the molecule has a positive charge and the other end has a negative charge. Oil has non-polar molecules, which means the charge is equally balanced throughout the molecule. Second, water is denser than oil, so it will sink to the bottom of the container. Two molecules stick together when a negatively charged end lines up with a positively charged end. With oil's molecules having neither a negatively nor positively charged end, they aren't attracted to water molecules. Instead, oil's molecules are more attracted to other non-polar molecules. The only way to combine oil and water is by using an emulsifier. This is something with molecules that have a polar and non-polar end, enabling it to mix with both water and oil. An example of an emulsifier is egg yolks, which are commonly used for making sauces like mayonnaise and foods like cakes.
Hey everyone, I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Jamie.
And today we're going to play a game called Guess the Bear. A game where we each have 3 cards with sentences on them, and a word or phrase in each sentence has been replaced by the word bear. We each have 1 minute to guess the bear, and Jamie, you are up first.
Okay.
So let's put 1 minute on the clock.
All right.
Okay, your first word is an adjective. It was difficult to see through the bare forest. Bare fog caused accidents on the highway.
Is the word dense?
Yes.
Oh,
Very good.
okay, thank you.
Okay, your next one is a verb. The Titanic bared in the North Atlantic Ocean. The captain watched his ship bear into the lake.
Is it sink or sank?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's right.
All right, good. All right, on a roll.
All right, and your last one is a phrase, and it's 2 words.
Okay.
Mushrooms are bare a fruit, bare a vegetable. She is bare French, bare Italian. She's Spanish.
Is it neither nor?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, good.
Wow, 3 for 3. Oh my goodness, the pressure's on for me now.
Neither nor. I was like, neither, because you just said neither French nor Italian. I was like, oh, that's it. And then it's like, oh, the last one, whatever it was. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Okay,
All right,
I'm up.
All right, let's go. 1 minute, go. All right, verb, 1 word. This flower is known to bear hummingbirds, and a variety of restaurants bear tourists to this district.
Attract.
Yes, very good. All right. Next one, verb, 1 word. John bared us 2 glasses of wine. And bear the cup into a cup, please. Oh, sorry, bear the tea into a cup, please.
What's the part of speech?
A verb, 1 word. John bared us 2 glasses of wine. And bear the tea into a cup, please. Pour? Yes, very good. Phrase, 2 words. Fences are here to bear kids bear falling into the pool. And seat belts bear you bear hitting the windshield in an accident.
Is it prevent from?
Very good.
Wow.
That's great.
We both,
Yeah, we both got 3 for 3.
we both got them. Usually the phrases will totally will totally confuse me.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but
did
yeah.
great.
I feel like that's one of the only times I've ever gotten one of the phrases.
No, that's great. Fences are here to prevent kids from falling into the pool, right? Seatbelts prevent you from hitting the windshield in an accident.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that you got your first one, the adjective dense. Like on the first try, like it was difficult to see through the dense forest. Dense fog caused accidents along the highway. On the highway, I don't know if I would have gotten that right away.
Thank you.
Sure, but it's a tie. It's a tie, so we both win. Yeah.